Yes, yes, yes. This is the HL podcast. Today's date is August 6, 2024. This show is presented to you all by way of StreamYard. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, and IG Live right now. This is the podcast for the people. I am Amrock. That is Devontae. Devontae, what's happening, man?
Man, good, man. Life is good, man. You know, I look forward to these conversations, bro. Talk about the culture, bro.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are blessed to be here to provide knowledge, wisdom, and peace to simply you all, the people. Please go follow us on IG, Twitch right now. Subscribe to us on Twitch and YouTube right now. Again, we are live on all three platforms. People, we got a great show for you today. Of course, we're going to get into the young voters, the black voters for Trump. Kamala done picked her running mate out of Minnesota. Tory Lanez, Megan Thee Stallion is a whole another chapter to that story. The MCU, now that we know that Robert Downey Jr. is Dr. Doom, what does the MCU look like? And we look back at some of the movies from the fourth and half of the fifth slate. Of course, college football is just a couple weeks away. I know y'all been going crazy on the game, building y'all dynasties, being from freshman to senior, winning the chat. I already know. I'm hip. So, but the real football is happening in a couple of weeks. And then we respond to Stephen A. Smith's a list of best sports cities. I don't know if y'all saw it when he was in Chicago at the National Black Journalists Association event. Great. It seemed like it was a great event. Shout out to Stephen A. Smith for putting that on in Chicago, having that on First Take. But we will respond to his list. I know Devontae definitely was like, "Oh, what the hell is going on with this?" Yo,
this is not the list. This is not the list.
For real. But first, people, as we always like to do, and get into the most known unknown. Okay, the most known unknown. And first up, in honor of, I put the wrong word on my script, but in honor of the Olympics, we remember the late, great Jesse Owens. Okay, those of you who don't know, Jesse Owens was a Olympian, a memorable Olympian during the 1936 Olympics that was hosted in Germany. Okay, this was the famous Olympics that was hosted in Germany in front of Adolf Hitler as he was rising in power, as the Nazis were rising in power in Germany at the time. Of course, they did not like Jews and they did not like black people. Okay, so for Jesse Owens to go up in there and do what he did, winning the 100, winning the 200, and being part of the 4x1. I think he also was in jumps as well. I think he did long jump or triple jump, one of those. But for him to do what he did was incredible. All right, one of the greatest Olympians of all time, period. Any country, doesn't matter. One of the greatest, especially for what he stood for during that time. However, a lot of people don't know that, unfortunately, when a lot of Olympians or people from the military or musicians, right, when they come back from overseas, they have to still deal with the harsh realities of America. And during that time, America was just pulling itself out of the Great Depression, and there was not, a lot of jobs, especially not for black people. And Jesse Owens had to resort to this right here, racing horses. Okay, this man had to resort to racing horses to, provide and pay his bills and provide for his family. He was quoted as saying it was indeed degrading, but, quote, he couldn't eat gold medals. He couldn't eat gold medals. And so we bring this situation up and talk about Jesse Owens again while the Paris 2024 Olympics is happening, but also to just acknowledge that, in America, we are still in some dark times, especially when it comes to racism and bigotry in this country. And it's just a shame that an athlete, an Olympian of his character, representing America, had to come back and be subjected to that, where somebody, couldn't provide, he couldn't get a job in the White House or something for what he supposedly did for his country. But just goes to show you again, where America is. I mean, where America was and how far we have not surpassed that. We still deal with a lot of racism and bigotry today. And it's even highlighted now, especially during this political run that is happening. Devontae, what are your thoughts about that?
Man, Jesse Jones was the first Olympian I ever heard of. Like, I never,
Right.
Growing up, I didn't pay attention to it. But that was the first name I ever heard of. Then you start to hear, if you watch the Carl Lewis, and it went on, like, later on down the line as you watch. But like, man, I believe, man, there was a movie on them too. I don't know if you mentioned that, but yeah,
Jesse Owens. Yep, there was.
Yeah, like it just shows, like, continuously when we look at history, particularly Black history, that you stand on the shoulder of giants, like they say. And it's just like, I couldn't imagine paving the way that he did and not getting the credit that he deserved, not getting the things he was, and it's a lot of times you die to get your roses, and some people appreciate you then. But I just think it's just a testament to how us as Black people continue to endure. And I think sometimes it is good to look back and to see where we come from, to know where we need to go, so yeah.
Facts. Definitely, I appreciate those words, Devontae. As we move on to the HL News, I want to piggyback off of what you just said, as far as us recognizing where we were and where we need to go. Somebody need to tell that, okay, to these people right here. All right, chilling with Trump. Now we all know this is AI right here, people. I can't believe Trump's campaign administration tried to pull this off. We know that's AI, but nevertheless.
My bad.
But nevertheless, there's a lot of young and Black voters out there really seriously considering voting for Trump. Hold up, I'm telling you, right? Like, what's wrong with him? Like, but we got a lot of young and Black voters out there for Trump. And in having conversations with some other podcasters, I won't say, who, because there's, private conversations, but in having conversations, and not just with one, just, a group of them, there seems to be a delusion in the sense of some of these young voters, in that they do not believe that what Donald Trump is proposing that he will do and has said that he will do. They do not believe that once he gets in, or if he gets in office, that he will implement those things. They like he's literally said, this will be the last time you have to vote. So obviously he plans on becoming an actual czar, dictator, king, whatever you want to call it, eliminating that right to have an open vote for the people, which eliminates democracy. He has literally stated that he wants to create and give police immunity. So again, what happened to, rest in peace, Sonia Massey, that cop would seriously just go unpunished, no questions asked. He was, quote unquote, doing his job. They want to, again, eliminate DEI and civil rights. So every Black person that's in DC working for the government, nope, they want to take you out of those jobs, right? Donald Trump has literally said this out of his mouth. He wants to bring back the draft as well. Okay. Now, it wasn't just him. That was the Republican Party stating that as well. They want to bring back the military draft that has been abolished since 1973 after the Vietnam War. Okay. Black people, young people, who do you think they're going for? And mind you, the draft is for people under the age of 30. From 18 to 30 years old. That is what the draft is intended for. So you and I, Devontae, we're good. However, the young people coming up, right? So it just amazes me as to the reactions and the responses that I got. Like, what is it about you? And really, that is in the minds of a lot of young and Black voters, is that they do not believe he is going to implement what he says he's going to. They just believe that he's just blowing smoke. And nah, none of that's going to happen, and everything's just going to be just fine. Why young voters and black voters should absolutely believe, what Trump is saying and should be afraid. Devontae, why do you like? You hear it. You've heard this man speak. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is not to, I said this on TikTok earlier. This is not to sway anybody's vote here. We're just trying to give you all the information in what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. And before Kamala came into the picture, everybody just threw Biden away. Now she's in the picture. Now we got somebody young, vibrant. She just picked her running mate, Tim Walz, out of Minnesota, the governor out of Minnesota. We said she needed to get one of those Midwestern, Southern swing states, and that's exactly what she did. And he's a white man, okay? Because again, 60% of this country is still white. How do you feeling though, Devontae, about young people and black people really like, I don't believe Trump. I don't think he's going to implement what he's saying he is going to do.
I think ignorance is bliss, and and I think it's showing. I think that we are at, I want to put somebody out, but I recently was talking to somebody who they are not for Harris at all. They are just like, really, I don't like neither one the person was saying to me. Right. And they were like, I'm not for Harris, I'm not for Trump. And they made the statement, somebody said, they keep telling me it's the lesser of two evils, but evil is evil. Whether it's less evil or more evil, they said I'm more evil. Sure. And I think when it comes just slowly, just this looking at the standpoint of Trump, I cannot speak for everybody. I'm speaking for Devontae. The reason I am not for Trump is I cannot, and I know people can point things out with Harris too, but for me as a black man in America, to see people enable racist behavior, and that is just it's uncomfortable for me. You know what I'm saying? And to be raising a young black man is like, that's crazy. And whether you're black, brown, if you're a person of color, just to hear some of the bigotry that they do not correct is crazy to me. And so it is one of those things where I don't think as far as just the answer towards the younger viewers, I like I said, ignorance is bliss. I think people need to be aware. And it's hard because I like Dr. Cornel West personally. You know what I'm saying? Like I like Cornel West. I just don't think he's the stronger candidate to win. And I like Kamala's pick because I think he was an educator. If I'm right, you know what I'm saying?
History teacher.
Yeah, so I like that. I like that. And it's what you said, like like that she needed to pick somebody like that. And I just think, not to both sides this, I think there's so much correction that needs to be done in our country, period. But particularly with younger voters, I love the fact the ones who are charged up, ready to go. But I also think at this point, the people who want to be like, the fake woke people who want to continue to be like, oh well, this is this is that, and you're not doing no other action behind that. If you're just giving a bunch of problems with no solutions to fix it, then you're a part of the problem. Because at this point, it is like, what are we doing to try to fix it? Because when I look at brothers like you, Rock, you are always trying to think of a solution to fix the problem and what we can do. Not just, you don't look at things and try to like throw more problems and no more wood in the fire. And what Trump's camp and what people do, there's people a lot in that camp who don't want divisiveness. There are people who are liberal or Democrat too, who I know, I feel like they're just as divisive. But I think at this point, can the real people who are trying to fix issues and really fix this shit stand up? Everybody else, no. So like, the people who want to play like, oh well, who want to just keep pointing fingers, it's the old thing. When you're pointing the finger, there's one pointing back at you. So I think I hope I answered that clearly to the audience listening. But at this point, I just think just stand up or sit the hell down. So
yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, to me, it's a little scary that people are really like, I don't believe what he's gonna. Yeah, politicians absolutely have stated in the past, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna change that, and then don't do it. Even Barack Obama did that as well. Okay, for the record, all of them have done it.
Yeah.
However, they haven't done it with this much fervor, with this much aggression, with this much disdain for human beings. Again, banning abortion. It's just certain things as a human being. Trump and what Trump and the Republican Party represent is what we don't want to be. And it's sad that we have a lot of human beings still in America who just don't care. Like a lot of you people who are voting for Trump, don't y'all have mothers? Don't y'all have sisters? Don't y'all have daughters? Again, imagine something tragic happening to them and now they can't get an abortion because, people aren't really thinking about the totality of it all. Right? Like, I think people are just really making it about race or poor, rich and poor. This shit can affect everybody in multiple ways. This isn't just, he's only going to go after black people. Like, some of these poor white people out here who are just like, oh, it's only black people. No, he is going to tax the rich and ultimately tax the common folk and poor folk 50 to 60% of their like that. This is literally what this man has said out his mouth. And most of y'all neo-Nazis or whoever y'all out there, Iranian brothers, all of y'all out there simply protesting and carrying on for Trump and support. Most of y'all live under that poverty line. Most of y'all are just common folks like the rest of us. Y'all are not part of that 1% to 2% that actually have money who, again, Trump is giving tax breaks too. I just don't understand why people don't understand it. For my black people, again, we just anointed that at most of the stuff that is going to be implemented that's going to affect black people. It's a little scary that people are having that thought process during this whole deal. And with that, Kamala Harris, again, she continues to run her race. Again, as we stated, she has a running mate now, a governor out of Minnesota. I had a question that I posted on our page on our last clip, talked about a little bit earlier on my TikTok. And the question is, Devontae, is and should race and gender should that be the focal point in considering Kamala? Because, and I asked that because it truly seems like when Biden was running, black people, even though that man was about to croak, it still seemed like black people were, no, for real. It still seemed like black people were like, we're going to go with Biden. And then soon as Kamala steps in, it really became more about, is she black? Is she Pacific Islander? Is she, oh, she's married to a white man. Oh, she dated Montel Williams. Oh, she slept her way to the top. Oh, she prosecuted black men in California. Just all of these personal attacks and negativity, more so than, well, what does the woman actually have to say about making this country better? Nobody really heard her out first. To me, it seemed like people just immediately came on with the race, the gender, where she stands as far as who she's married to. And again, a lot of these things are very valid points. I'm not trying to say that, hey, like, what happened in California, hey, we need some more insight and more research on that. Like, who, were you just throwing black men in jail, or were there actually black men committing heinous crimes that needed to go to jail, right? Like, what was the whole story? But right, so in some cases we may need more information, but should that and is that a focal point, her, the race and the gender for Kamala? And but yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I think that's a really good question. And like, when I saw it when we were doing our talking points and I saw it, I was thinking to myself, how do I want to answer it? And like just hearing it again, I say yes and no. When I mean yes is that we gotta like that. When Obama was in office, I never thought I would see a black president. I said we'll never have a black president. I just never thought it would happen. I just didn't think that was something attainable for us. And it showed how limited my thinking was. You know what I'm saying? And you see that, and then now you get to see little girls of color see and black girls particularly too are, and how do you say, will she be identified as Pacific? Is it not Pacific Islander? I thought it was Pacific Islander or Asian Island or Asian Pacific, something like that. Yeah, just want to get that part too for those people who identify as that. Like that's big, and I think representation matters. Where I say yes and no is because because representation matters. No, that's not the merit of which the standard of what we say she is. It's her policies and everything else. I don't judge her on the fact of this because I'm going to dumb it down to my area. Some of my best bosses, all of my bosses, some of my male bosses may not hate this if they see it. Majority of them have been women, and they've been awesome at the job. And that's not saying my male bosses were terrible, but some of the ones who kind of nurtured me the most were women. And they kind of helped me develop on my career path. And I just think that that's not the merit to judge her on, but it's also not the one to use as a crutch against her, because to break down barriers, there are a lot of women who, in general, they're the pay gap. You know what I'm saying? Like when you talk about it, particularly women of color, black women, once again, when you look at the statistics and numbers of stuff, people who want to take that and use that as a weapon to discredit, they are the problem. And I think one of the things I want to say, and I'll end with this, is if you start to argue against someone based on, let me make sure I say this right. If you go look for something to fit the narrative of which you don't like a person, then there's nothing they can do for you. If you already did not like Sister Harris, he's ever going to do to get you to like her. If you didn't like her because you don't feel like she identifies as black, you don't feel like she identifies, there's nothing she can do for you to like her. And that's probably not for all people, but a good majority of them. We have to stop arguing based on things that just fit our narrative to be like, see, I told you so. And start to try to be a little biased. And I want to say like this, I was rewatching on Netflix Jack Reacher, and it was funny. The very first one with Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise, and
Tom Cruise.
He made the lawyer girl go talk to the victims of the family that the person had shot in the movie, right? And our quote unquote shot. And she was like, "Well, why would I do that?" He's like, to understand the victims, to put herself in the people's shoes that of the person that she's trying to defend. And it was the most. I've watched the movie tons of times, and I say that to say that sometimes, and I get it, you cannot do this in every circumstance, but common sense has not been common sense in our world for a long time. And empathy, we lack that, and to just put yourself in somebody else's shoes, to take in a moment of history and just be like, yo, that's awesome, because just like I didn't think I'll see a black president, I'm now seeing a black woman and a woman in general. Like even hearing my mother talk about how excited she is to see a woman potentially be in that. And it's disgusting on the other side, because there's a lot of people who they are limited in their thinking. There are those people who don't like her, and it is a policy thing. I'm not going to discredit those. But there are other people, there is nothing that this woman can do. You were going to try to make up in your mind that you don't like her at all, and you're going to use her race, her gender, and everything else to discredit her, and you're a problem.
Yeah. Definitely. You definitely hit the money on that one. And it's unfortunate. Like Judge Joe Brown, I responded to him on TikTok. He came out with, she slept her way to the top. She is a disgrace. She's a hoe, da, 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 da. First of all, people like that, man, you too old to be talking about the chick's a hoe and this, like, go sit your old ass down. And all of that is unnecessary. Just like what you stated on the last episode with the idiot.
Hatui.
You know, it's just unnecessary. Where is she on with the issues? You know, when it comes to our black children being educated, where is she on? You know, potentially having the draft come about again. Where is she on the with police brutality and the murders that's happening? You know, towards black people, towards black men, towards black women, towards black children. You know, where is she at with DEI and how that works? Where is she at with the abortion? You know, all of these different things, right? Like those are the issues. You know, getting where is she at with bringing the federal minimum wage up from $7.25, which it has been since you and I were freaking damn near in high school. Okay, you know, almost 2 decades ago, right? Like $7.25 federal minimum wage, and a gallon of milk costs that. Like what? I'm working an hour to literally pay for a gallon of milk. How does that sound? Right? Like people, especially young people, y'all really have to like think about these things before just saying, oh, but we want to go with Trump just because he's a man and he's a white man, but yet you discredit Kamala because then she's a woman and a black woman and a Asian woman. Little contradictory to me, but nevertheless, you know, we digress. People, at the end of the show, we always do what's the question. This week, I don't have a what's the question, but everybody that's watching, tuning in, if you have a question that you would like to ask us, please put it in the comments, you know, and we'll definitely answer that question or a few questions, or especially if we got time, or we'll move those questions over to the next episode. Okay, so please, if you got a question that you want to ask, please hit us up in the comments. We'll save those. We'll try to answer that at the end of the show. But people, as we move on to music and culture, okay. Now, before we go into this topic, I want to say that we absolutely do not condone violence against women, violence against black women, okay? But this is a story about this man right here, Tory Lanez, okay, who is currently doing 10 years in prison for the shooting of Megan Thee Stallion, you know, during that night, I believe was back in 2020 now. And you know, again, he was ultimately found guilty of gun possession, the shooting, which they deemed an assault, and ultimately got 10 years. I think he can get out early with good behavior. But, you know, in prison right now, he has achieved his high school diploma, I believe he just received, and now he's going for a college degree in prison. So very good for him. You know, I definitely hope he has learned something from this, you know, especially with being around guns, having guns in your hand, having guns in a facility is a dangerous matter. Okay. I was in security, police, all of that, dealt with guns, dealt with weapons. It's a dangerous matter. All right. But nevertheless, this man, okay, Tory's bodyguard, all right, has completed an affidavit that pretty much stated that Megan Thee Stallion's friend, who, if you heard about the story at the time, she was a little sketchy because the girlfriend apparently had gunpowder residue on her hands. Now, mind you, people, again, and you've held a gun and fired a gun, okay? That gunpowder residue gets all over you. They do the fluorescent light and they do the blue fluorescent. You can see it's all over you. It's no joke. She had it on her and on her hands. Now, so did Tory. And per the affidavit, the bodyguard stated that the girlfriend actually had the gun. Tory tried to get it away from her. And in that scuffle or what have you, the gun went off. And recently, per this information coming out, of course, podcasters are going crazy. Joe Budden, one of the most famous podcasters out there, stated that Megan conspired to frame Tory. Again, we all remember the clip of Tory Lanez's father after the conviction, or during the trial rather, going in at Rock Nation and Jay-Z, saying that, you know, saying what they were saying. Okay. My whole speculation and opinion of this is that this story is not over. We have not heard the last of this story, and we have not heard the whole truth, especially from Megan Thee Stallion. Devontae, where are you at with this one?
Man, I have avoided this conversation publicly for so long, and when I saw it on there, I said, "Oh my God, I got to talk about it." It's very hard for me because I am a person who tries to not just discredit what a woman says when she's in those situations.
Absolutely.
But there are times where and the problem, I think there are a lot of times where there are some women who lie, and it creates these issues where it becomes this he said, she said. But to the women who are righteous or who should be defended in those situations, nothing but love and support and light for you. In this particular situation, I feel like even listening to the trial, I felt like there's so much evidence that just wasn't presented. And I was like, what? I'm so confused. And there were like stories being changed. I think her friend didn't want to testify and all this. And I just think the best thing I'll leave it at is that I am with you. I don't think this whole thing is done. I think I'm not going to say, I don't want to say it like that. I think it is one of those things to where what's done in the dark will always come to the light, no matter what side that falls. And I just prayed the truth in the situation. I think even the first time, maybe, I'm not going to say Meg didn't know who shot her. Maybe I don't want to think that that's what she did. Like, I don't want to think that Tory, that's what he did. And the reason and it has nothing to do because I'm more fans of either one. I could care less. I don't know neither one. It's when I think about Chris Brown. I know people, why you bring Chris Brown in this? It's like, I'm not defending him and his actions, but like one mistake can tear your life up. And I am a firm believer. Go ahead.
Yeah, real quick, that situation for us as young people is Tory Lanez and Megan for the young generation today.
Yes.
But go ahead. Yeah.
That's where I'm getting at. And it's like, I'm never not saying that this is okay, because there's people who take it and run with it. And I hate talking to these situations because I'm not going to say I don't really know how to answer it, but I'm just going to say this. We got to stop. Like, I'm going to just take Chris Brown, put him away. I shouldn't even said that. I'm going to use Robert Downey. And the reason I'm going to use Robert Downey because I remember Robert Downey wanting to be written off. And I remember I'm from the era where I remember how they dogged Robert Downey Jr. You can go pull up the YouTube videos. They dogged Robert Downey Jr.
I remember.
And now you are at a situation to where, why do we play God? And I'm a firm believer, let me say this too. If you did wrong, I don't give a damn who you are. You should be punished for that to do that. But if somebody makes atonement for that and try to change, let them go through their process. Because there are people like a Diddy, I get it. Diddy's no forgiveness for me. And I'm just going to say that, because I just think that's a whole list of other things, period. You know what I'm saying? And it's hard because I feel like I'm digging myself in a rabbit hole answering this, but essentially, I just pray the truth comes to light. This is just one of those situations to where it's so he said, she said, and it's so like divided with the culture because you have, on the outside, it looks like, did y'all set this dude up? And then the other side of it is like, I really truly don't know. I don't know because I listened to it. And I did not think that he was going to get arrested because I was like, there don't seem like enough evidence. But I don't know. I just really don't know. I don't want to know. I'm just gonna shut the hell up because I'm talking too much. This is just this one of those situations where I hate these situations. I hate it. I hate it because wait a minute. And let me ask this too, Rob. Because wasn't the witness across the street the neighbor? He didn't even testify, right?
No, he
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. And to me, it just shows like, wait, yo, why wouldn't? So I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone because I don't want to go there because I just like.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, like the biggest conspiracy, we all knew, especially in the music industry, they don't like independence. They don't like, when you say no to the Illuminati, they don't like that. And so, right, exactly. And so, I think that was a situation where Tory Lanez just got caught up in the mix, unfortunately. And you're absolutely right. There are plenty of Black women, especially, where their cries go unheard. So this is in no way, shape, or form discrediting any Black woman where your cries did go unheard, because we hear you. Okay, we absolutely hear you. We know it's happening every day, every moment, unfortunately, and we hear you. You should be heard. You should be recognized. You should be understood. You should be listened to. Sometimes it's just hard, especially when you're dealing with music industry people, and we hear the stories all the time of later down the road, here comes the truth, and oh, this person really didn't do it. Oh, this person, yeah. We hear it all the time. And like you said, we come from an era where before the internet, when you really heard that information, it was some information. When you heard it, it was probably the truth, because it wasn't just a whole bunch of websites out there to just throw stuff out there. Like when you heard shit like, oh, this person's messing with this person, or this person had a bit, that was real information. Like you had to get that pretty much from the streets, which were, sometimes our parents, sometimes friends, but sometimes also, but they had their ears to the streets, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just feel like in this situation, like I said earlier, there's a lot more to be told. I don't think it's the end. And it's just tough. It's just tough, especially with that. And a lot of this information we already knew. Again, that information was out there that her girlfriend had the gunpowder residue on her. There is no way she could have gotten that by standing, a few feet away from Tory and it ricocheted. No, she would have had to have been holding that weapon when it was discharged. That's the only logical explanation to that. Because Megan didn't have that on her, the bodyguard didn't have that. It was only her and Tory. Now, again, Tory shouldn't have never put himself in that situation. And neither should have Megan. None of them should have. Because it was all the backstories. He was messing with two of them, and she was jealous, and this one was that don't even, in some cases, that don't even sound correct. Just for the especially with all the other people involved. So, again, I'm with you. It's a crazy situation to talk about, but nevertheless, just hope that one day, if the truth hasn't come out, hopefully one day it does.
I'm glad you said that, because that's what I was about to get. Where if it hasn't come out, let it come out and settle it. And however that truth truly looks, and we get that, or maybe the truth did. I do. It's like it's a lot of questions there. And I just want to say this: if it was something to where there's one side more to this, and it was like evidence hid, or if it wasn't foretelling, I think the people who did that, that's the part where I look at things like it's time to hold them accountable. And I do want to, not to put it there, but when I made my Diddy statement, I want to be very clear with this. The reason I'm the way I am with Diddy, because before the video came out, he was gaslighting. After it came out, he continued to gaslight. And keep face, and that is just to me who he is. And Tory shouldn't put himself in that situation. I'm not going to say I hope he learns something, because I wouldn't want anybody to learn that's between them and God. But I just think at the end of the day, what Rock just said, y'all, whatever that truth may be, let it come out. And I think, once again, like I said with Sister Harris, the I told you so people who are looking to shame Meg, and the I told you so people who are looking to shame Tory, like, it's not going to bring you no justice to your own personal situations that make you want to ride so hard with this. So just let it go.
Fair point, man. Fair point. People, as we always do, like to get into the real MCs, where we discuss films, all right? And This right here is the new MCU slate that's upcoming. Okay, we have Captain America: Brave New World coming out during Black History Month. Shout out to Anthony Mackie. The Thunderbolts is coming out next May. We have Fantastic Four, the first steps coming out in July. Marvel's kicking it with next year. They said we doing a total reboot. They dropping 4 of them things. They dropping 4 of them things, and then we're supposed to get finally Mahershala Ali in Blade next fall. I'm glad they did it next fall around Halloween time. Shout out to them for that. And then of course Doomsday, Secret Wars, and other projects. Are you feeling the upcoming MCU slate? And then again, they haven't announced certain projects. So what projects are we thinking that might come about?
I'm not feeling none of it, being honest. Like, and I know people are like, what, Robert Downey? I'm not feeling it until I see it with them at this point, because I'm feeling Agatha. I want to see how Agatha looks. I'm just like, until I get the X-Men, like, there's nothing to talk about. Like, I just feel like, I get it. Like, I don't want to see the Avengers again. I'm over all of that. Like, I'm excited about Fantastic Four, I should say. So I guess I'm feeling that. Doom, yeah, but like, I personally, X-Men 97, literally, and then Robert Downey having to be recast is the only reason that people are buzzing with Marvel now. If you took those 2 away, we wouldn't be talking about them.
Yeah.
Like, so it's kind of like they hit this game-winning. It is Draymond Green getting fouled out in that game with LeBron and them. Does it shift the tide? I don't know. I'm not going to tell you it does. I'm not going to tell you it's something to think about. And I just feel like ultimately where I'm at is we're doing Avengers again until I see how they do the X-Men, and not the even though X-Men 97 is phenomenal. I'm loving it. I'm watching it over and over. But we need more actual content from Marvel. This Blade pushback is a bad taste. Robert Downey, that's great. You have a little buzz for that. He's Doom, like, we love it. Okay, cool. Agatha, I'm excited for, but I'm not about to give Marvel the pass like they're back yet. So until I see some consistency, no.
Gotcha. And yeah, no, I would agree. As far as Thunderbolts, Brave New World. I'm curious to see how Anthony Mackie's Captain America fights Red Hawk, which they've already anointed to that. Blade, I mean, okay, did they start filming? Because next November, and you haven't started filming yet. Same thing with Fantastic Four. I mean, they're just starting to film like this month, and that movie's slated to come out next July. So, and that's a lot of CGI, a lot of things they got to do with that. So, it's interesting. We shall see. I think you're right. I think they had to bring Robert Downey Jr. back, to create that buzz, because it was not looking pretty. And speaking of that, right? So now we are halfway through Phase 5. Okay, and if we look back after the Infinity Saga, we have the Multiverse Saga. Okay, let me put this on my other screen. We have the Multiverse Saga, and if we go down the list of movies, all right, we got Black Widow, which should have came after technically. Shang-Chi, I actually like Shang-Chi. I thought that one was actually pretty good. It was different.
Shang-Chi was dope. I forgot about
Shang-Chi.
Yep,
it was different. It was fresh. I like Shang. It was funny. I like Shang-Chi. Internals, didn't even bother to see it. I'm just gonna put it out there. It looked terrible from the previews. No Way Home, to me,
I like that.
It was cool, but I just didn't like bringing back Green Goblin as the villain. Spider-Man is like Batman. You have a whole list of villains that you could have introduced. Bringing back Willem Dafoe. Now, don't get me wrong. That's one of the best comic villain performances, Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin.
All time.
However, yeah, it was all, especially that first Spider-Man. He was whooping his ass. Like that was some serious shit. Like that was a
quick curveball for you. Was it better than Jack Nicholson in Batman?
Oh yes. Jack Nicholson didn't even play the best Joker. That was Heath Ledger. In my
Was
opinion.
he better than? Okay, then was he better than Heath?
No, Heath comic villains. Heath Ledger is Joker. Michael B as Killmonger. Thanos. I'm trying to think of another one. I don't really give Loki all. Loki been around too long for me. Like, go somewhere. Like.
Ooh, we got. That's a list. We're gonna put that list together.
Yeah. Next. Okay. Next episode, I'm gonna do that one. Remind me.
I got you.
Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. That was okay.
I like that.
That was okay. But Scarlet Witch, she just went ham in that one. I was like, damn, like she was going crazy. She could technically be considered a good villain too. Then you had Thor: Love and Thunder, which I heard that was trash. And then you had Wakanda Forever, but they couldn't really do what they wanted to do, obviously, because rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Yeah. And then now we're in Phase 5, where you had Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumanium. I thought that was pretty good. Jonathan Majors did a good job as Kang.
I thought that was really good.
But then we all know what happened with that. Yeah. Guardians 3, I don't know anybody on the planet who went to see that one. Just because why do we need it? Oh, okay. Well, hey, well, cool. I didn't, but I'm glad I know somebody that did, right? And then the Marvels, same thing, right? Like it was like, that was bad. I don't think the promotion was well. Yes, they definitely needed to bring back Blade because again, people, if y'all remember, Wesley Snipes' Blade 1998 started this whole shit with Marvel. Okay, like Marvel was really in the toilet. Okay, and Blade 1998, Wesley Snipes brought Marvel back to life as a whole, and then of course the X-Men and Spider-Man gave it its clout. Now, when speaking of the X-Men, of course they're setting it up that way.
Spider-Verse, don't forget Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Spider-Verse. Yeah,
Miles Morales.
That was really good. That was really good.
Do we count that? I guess
it's not part of the MCU, but I get you. Yeah, I get you. But damn, where was I getting at? With X-Men, right?
Yep.
We just got Deadpool and Wolverine. We had Namor and Black Panther. They consider him a mutant. We're getting there. I think we're getting there. They introduced Blade at the end of Internals from what the clips that I've seen. I didn't see the movie, but I saw clips and heard about the movie.
Appreciate all the spoilers, people. Appreciate all the spoilers.
Right. And then definitely spoiler alert, Deadpool and Wolverine, as we all know now, they brought Gambit back, they brought Blade back, they brought Electrica back, all of those characters. So, and that's exactly pretty much what they did with Spider-Man. So it's going, I hear you, and X-Men is coming. I really believe that they're going to give us X-Men and Avengers.
Daredevil. I keep forgetting Daredevil too.
Yeah, Daredevil as well. And then they're still going to bring back a lot of shows too. I'm excited for Ironheart. She definitely deserves a show. Yeah, and last time we saw her was Wakanda Forever, right?
Yep.
So she deserves a show. That's going to be dope. But yeah, they had to bring back Robert Downey Jr. Just to give it some clout. Because you're right. I mean, the buzz was there, and I think it was just primarily because they just overdid it. Too many shows, too many movies at once. They was riding high off the Infinity Saga success, which was a great run. And then they just tried to do a little too much, and they and rightfully so, they're dialing it back. So we'll see as they go into Phase 5 and then Phase 6. What transpires. So we'll see. But out of those, what would you say, we had Shang-Chi. I heard you say Shang-Chi was really good. Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Ant-Man. Out of those, which one did you like the best? Like, what was your top one out of
I thought Spider-Man, Doctor Doom. Well, I like Wakanda Forever only because I like the cultural references in there. And I thought that was, and then the symmetry and the costumes were like ridiculous. Shout out to overall story wise, it didn't to me hold up to the other ones. It was great to see. The new T'Challa, you know what I'm saying, how they did that. And I do want to say, to tie it all in, I think that is as much as I knock that of Marvel, I am interested to see the comeback of how because you have to reboot, but how are you shifting? Even that what I see with Deadpool, how they're throwing this all in, I think that's dope. I think that is like, it's creative and it's dope, but it's like, I just can't get my hopes up with them, because to me they beat Avengers with the dead horse. I was over Avenger movies a long time ago, like, and we just kept going and going and going. And I get it. Everybody's like, "What? It was class. It was great." It was, but like, there's so many stories. But I'm more excited with Doctor Doom, with Agatha, and if the Scarlet Witch is still alive, because there's supposed to be something with there on all that. And I'm excited to see what they do. Like, I heard there may be a Wolverine versus Hulk or something. There was Easter eggs for that. I heard there, but ultimately, to answer your question, Spider-Man was probably my favorite. Only reason being because I just think they kept knocking it out the park. And then when they brought all three Spider-Mans back, and even did the Spider-Man meme, like, that was just like, it was like kind of dope. But Doctor Strange is really slept on in Marvel movies. I just don't know how, like, people sleep on Doctor Strange. So
I definitely agree with that, man. I definitely agree with that. People, so been rewatching a few things. One in particular that I want to talk about, and Devontae, I'm sure you saw this, the Last Dance documentary. Because I'm like, yo, you hear the stories now of Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant, and I forget who else, going on tour, the Last Dance tour, to talk about the documentary, and of course to bash Michael Jordan. And I'm bringing this up because I'm watching it, and I like, they interviewed Scottie Pippen a lot, right? So he had an opportunity to say what he wanted to say. Like, and he chose not to tell the truth on how he felt about Michael Jordan. But nevertheless, it's a great documentary. I think one of the greatest documentaries ever. One of the greatest, not the greatest, but one of the greatest. Just for the story and how they told the story, the swiftness in which it was made, as far as, you know, each episode and the meaning, you know, it being meaningful. I just thought it was a great documentary that was put together. I'm still in the midst of rewatching it. I've watched it a few times, but just I do think that, they, you know, those guys, other than Michael, really should have went more in and telling their truth. I think Michael was really the only one that really went in and told his truth. Horace Grant, Scottie Pippen, B.J. Armstrong, a lot of those guys, I think Steve Kerr told his truth. You know, Michael, I think the owner, I forget, Krause, I think his name was. I think, you know, like, they told their truth, but, you know, the guys that later complained, it wasn't like, again, you guys didn't have, I'm sure they wouldn't have edited out, "Oh, I thought Michael was an asshole," and da-da-da. No, that makes for good TV. They wouldn't have edited that shit out had you said it. And you should have said it instead of then watching the documentary. Isaiah Thomas also, in watching the documentary and then going, "Oh, well, no, Michael's an asshole," da-da. That didn't make any sense to me. Like, you know, so I don't know when the last time you saw Last Dance, Devontae, or what, you know, but
the last time I saw Last Dance was never. I've never watched it. I have no desire to watch it. I will never watch that documentary. And you know, here's why. I will never watch it. I'm probably the only person. There's probably others, but I've never watched it, and I have no desire. Everybody has told me to watch it. I have no desire to watch it. I have no. Please
don't tell me it's because you're a Kobe fan. Because they have Kobe in the documentary.
I mean, if it was, Kobe would be the greatest documentary ever. And
we're going to get that, I'm sure. But he's in the documentary too. They actually dedicated an episode to him.
Now you have my attention. That's the first time I've heard of that. So now I may just fast forward to that part.
Sure? I'm shocked right now that you have never.
I have no. Here's why.
Oh,
I agree with Scotty and them. I do. I agree. And let me tell you. I don't think they would have been allowed to tell their truth, Rock. I just don't think they would have been allowed to tell their truth, because the greatness that is Michael Jordan, and no, I am not I was just talking to this with my supervisor, who is just cool because we always shoot because he's from New Jersey, and then
Jersey.
he was how would you say?
I said Jersey.
Yeah. He from New Jersey, East Coast born bred. You know what I'm saying? He said, and he was like, he asked me, he was like, y'all was talking about a boy who's a huge Kobe fan. His boy's like an unrealistic Kobe fan, he said. And he asked me, he's like, do you really think Kobe Bryant is the greatest? I said, for me, yes. And he was like, how do you think that? I said, once again, you keep missing my part. I said, for me, yes. I'm not saying by my standard of what I saw of him, yes. Reason I would never watch Michael's documentary is because all the stuff that Kobe Bryant did that people labeled him an asshole. Jordan's an asshole that gets the mystique and they were this. And Kobe never reached that mystique, and I get that's what he doesn't get to do that. But I do think Pippen and them are right. I don't think they would have been allowed to tell their truth. I don't think they would have been allowed to express themselves. Does it take away the greatness and aura of Michael Jordan? No, I remember the Jordan era. That Jordan was the shit. Like he was. And I just think that you'll never get that era. But I think at the same time, like, you know, I may watch it now because you threw that out there. Because I've literally never watched it. I've never had a desire until that to watch it. And because it just, I don't need another. I remember the old Michael Jordan documentary where
Jordan Rides the Bus.
What's say it?
Jordan Rides the Bus.
Yeah, that one. It was that one. The one that had the dun 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 song. That one Jordan song that you heard.
Okay.
But like, I just remember that, and like that was the only Michael Jordan documentary I ever watched. And I just think that outside of Space Jam, which I look at as a Michael Jordan documentary, I just think it is what it is. I don't question the greatness of The Last Dance. I still think it's probably one of the cultural. I don't need to see it to see that it's a great documentary, because to see the cultural impact of something that I didn't even watch shows me everything I need to know. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I'm just not a hater. I'm not going to hate on it. I just have no desire to watch it because I do think Scotty and them are right. I just think where you're right, Rock, y'all, it's irrelevant. Y'all sound like some haters. I would have not did the documentary. If you felt like that, that's where I'm about to get it to. You were better off not doing the documentary, period. Like, you were better off not doing it, because now, you know what I'm saying, you just seem like haters. And I think at this point, when it comes to Mike, unless somebody's going to really Isaiah Thomas him, y'all just let it go. Just let it go. That's my 2 cents. But I will now.
So 2 things. This is the same man, people, who got on me for not watching Game of Thrones. Okay.
Oh, he
and so now I will get on him for not watching The Last Dance. First and foremost, for all of you, Kobe is the GOAT people.
He is.
Rightfully so. He can be your GOAT. MJ is mine. LeBron is a close second. Kobe's definitely in top 10 for me. Now, again, you know, that's your right. If you watch the documentary, though, Kobe says it all. I'm not going to say what he says, but he says it in this documentary, episode 5. And for those who watched it, know exactly what I'm talking about and know exactly what I mean when I say that. In that he says it all. And so, and also, I think the producers would have absolutely loved for Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, Isaiah Thomas, BJ, on all of them, to which I think for the full extent they did. But I think they would have loved for them to go even further. The only thing that MJ in that documentary did not touch was his detailing his first marriage with, you know, and the mother of like Marcus, and I forget the other kids' names. That's it. They touched on pretty much all the controversy, unfortunately, the murder of his father, and they touched on a lot of that stuff. I just really think you should watch it, man.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna fast forward to the Kobe part. I'm gonna fast forward to the Kobe part just to see the CGI.
Just give it a chance. Just give it a chance, man. But
was it AI? Was it really Kobe, or was it AI? Did they try to AI?
It was Kobe, because they filmed it, but they filmed it in 2019.
Okay.
Right before he passed. Yeah. It was definitely Kobe. And they dedicated the episode to him. And you'll again, just telling you, man, just watch. If you don't watch nothing else, just watch episodes 5, 7, and 8.
I will watch The Last Dance, y'all, and at least by next episode.
This man gonna get on me about Game of Thrones and never seen the.
Why you keep bringing that up, right? Now let me explain myself, people. I just like, oh, Rocky. I said, oh, brother, I understand you busy. That's why you didn't watch Game of Thrones. I understood how the brother, you know what I'm saying, Rock out here trying to change the world and do some things, you know. So I understood the brother didn't have time to watch. You said how you trying to do it. I understood he didn't have time to watch Game of Thrones, you know. And I know he didn't watch the last episode. But
no, I didn't. Yeah.
See,
I didn't watch the last one, but
it was anyway.
But yeah, people, as we move to sports, a couple of things that we got happening. The college football, hold up.
Ooh, it's going down.
Right, the college football season is upon us. Okay, of course, there's over 300 teams in football. All right, so we're not gonna get into who's the favorite. I know, you know, I'm sure Devontae, you got your either USC, UCLA, or Oklahoma. It's one of the three, I'm sure.
It sure ain't Oklahoma, but I mean, you started strong with USC. I just want to start the campaign, like I've been saying. Deion Sanders, new coach.
Oh, definitely. I'm with you on that one. That would be perfect.
I'm gonna say it one more time because when it happened, y'all heard it here first. Deion Sanders, new coach of USC.
I agree with that one. What, you know, again, we had a lot of movement also. So USC, y'all went this way, and some people went that way. It's crazy, like how the Big Ten and the Big 12 and all of the, like, it's literally now like a Power 5 or 6 conference and all the other small teams. Your thoughts on all these teams changing conference, especially your team, because y'all are now in the Big Ten. You know, there's no more, pretty much there's no more Pac-12. Like when the Big East faded away, like it was, you know, and they had to. It took a while for them to bring it back, and I'm sure it'll get to that point because I think these teams will realize this is ridiculous to have. You know, 20 teams in a conference, only 2 could potentially play for the conference championship. Like, you know, but with that, we get a 12-team playoff. And so how are you feeling about, just all these teams, and again, your team, especially changing conferences and the 12-team playoff?
I am truly excited about the playoff. Let me start there. I'm mostly, I don't really know who's it is. I don't expect USC to win crap this year. Let me just start that off. I will be happy to see how we do because I think we still got some solid players coming in and we still got some solid players left. But just in general, I'm excited more of the playoff. I am not happy about not being in a Pac-10, then Pac-12 at one point. I think Pac-14. I don't know where we was going with that. But like, I do want it to run that back. I think you still only have Oregon and Washington left there now. Oregon State and Washington. Okay. Because even Arizona and Arizona State, I think they went to the ACC maybe. And it's like, it's just weird. And I get it. It's all about streaming and TV rights and everything now. But I don't. It's like when the NCAA tried to fix one thing, they ruined another. Personally, that's how I feel. But I get it. I get it. Money makes the world go round. I'm happy for NILs, but I feel like it's getting crazy. I guess it's the gift and curse of everything. But I really don't know how to feel until I see it. But the number one thing I'm excited about is the playoffs. I'm excited to compete against like some of the teams that we never probably would have played. I'm not an Oklahoma fan, but I do want to see what Oklahoma does in the SEC. Okay, that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I just think everybody should go back to their conferences and they should just make it work. Like I'm right. Yeah, I'm not big on that, bro. Like I'm just like, nah, because and I get it too. People are like, oh, our conference is the strongest. So eventually I would like to see USC dominate there because you shut that argument up. But and you never know how the transfer portal will look. So that's my 2 cents on it. So
And with that, so this is just a brief look on how the playoffs going to look. Obviously, the top 4 teams are going to get buys, and then everybody else is going to duke it out. It's going to be pretty much over the whole month of December going into January. It's going to be, again, the bowl games will still have, still happen. Yeah, I mean, I think it's exciting. I think, we got a.
He said a conspiracy.
It just didn't add up as to hey, maybe Gary. Yeah,
Gary with the conspiracy.
Right, that's a possibility. I mean, shit, I don't put nothing past nobody. So yeah, it's not out of the wrong possibility that they knew something was coming, and we all saw it shift, especially with Nick Saban. Alabama just wasn't the same team anymore. They wasn't getting the quarterbacks like they used to after Tua, I believe. It just really, it just went to shit. Maybe Mac Jones, I think wasn't Mac Jones after Tua? Yeah, so maybe
the NIL destroyed Alabama, basically. The NILs, did they destroy?
Yeah, I mean, they just wasn't getting the players. Georgia was getting the players. Dion was pulling them, to Colorado. Like, it just wasn't happening. Oklahoma was getting players. Texas was getting players. Still, Miami on the comeback. Florida State. So, you got Clemson in the mix. Ohio State, Michigan. Of course, Michigan just won the championship. So
ain't they in trouble now? I just saw that today.
Ooh.
Michigan, what happened with them?
Well, I said it when that whole cheating thing happened that they were going to wait until after they won the championship. We all know how this goes. It happened in Michigan before. Michigan knew about Chris Webber and all those guys with the Fab Five taking money, but again, it was like pocket change, really, from Ed Norton and that whole story that happened with Fab Five. And then they wanted to punish him later. I think they knew I'll say this. I think there was a reporter or somebody out there with the information, and they're waiting or waited until after they won the championship. Of course, after John Harbaugh, mind you, that's a common thing with college football players. Talk about Gary with the conspiracy theory. That's a common thing with college football players. We saw it with Pete Carroll with USC when he got up out of there before all that shit happened with Reggie Bush. We saw it with Nick Saban, I think with not Nick Saban, Urban Meyer. We saw that plenty of times with him. Okay, they get ghosts when they know shit is coming. And what did he do? Not only did he get ghosts, he went to the NFL. Okay, so there's no way that they can touch him. They can only punish the program. And so it was strategic. It was definitely, on purpose, because he knows, as most of us know, that there's information out there that's going to come to light about them cheating and what happened on that sideline. They just wanted to wait for them to win the championship, so ultimately they could strip it away. That's normally the story. We build them up to watch them fall, and I think that's what's going to happen with Michigan in this situation.
I just want to say that Pete Carroll didn't cheat. Reggie got his Heisman back, so Pete Carroll didn't cheat.
No, I didn't say he didn't cheat. I'm just saying how they know, like, when shit is when they might be at risk of getting. They would rather leave on their own recognizance instead of getting fired, or what I mean, like, or them having to pay a fine. He got ghosts, so. He did get ghosts.
Pete was like, I'm out.
He did the Richard Nixon. I'm out.
I was like, Pete, where you going, Pete?
Nah, for real. We want to talk about real quick the Chicago Barbie, Angel Reese doing her thing in the WNBA. Of course, it's on pause right now because of the Olympics, but she was doing her thing, averaging a double-double pretty much this entire season. But they're still trying to give it to Caitlin Clark. Okay, they're still trying to give the Rookie of the Year to Caitlin Clark. Do you think Angel Reese is the front runner and should win it at this current point, especially if she keeps this up?
I think to me, Angel, first of all, once again, shout out to the Sparks for dropping the ball, because you could have drafted Angel and we didn't. Lisa Leslie told you to draft
Mystics too. The Washington Mystics too fumbled the back completely.
Fumbled. You didn't believe in Angel, and it showed. Like, to me, Angel is I don't have an argument against Caitlyn because earlier she wasn't cooking, so that's why I'm like Angel. But Caitlyn, before they took a break, she was picking up that momentum. And Caitlyn, they're both big time TV, but realistically, like Angel's game, like to a purist who loves just the grit grind and of it, I like Angel. I like all of it. Like Caitlyn's Angel, but Caitlyn's game is going to bring in the money. So like, yeah, they're going to keep pushing that narrative. But if Angel is breaking records, even they try to throw out some record that Caitlyn broke in there, and I feel like I don't want to say they made it up because I'm sorry, Caitlyn, I ain't trying to do you like that, but I feel like it's just thrown out there a little bit. And I was just, so I'm not going to be mad at either or because you know what Angel Reese is up against. I would surely be surprised. I would 100% be surprised if she was the front runner, like, because to me, Angel was, I don't see how you don't give it to Angel. I'm like, yo, like nobody was talking about this team since Candace was there last, and now
when they won
I
the
don't know where they're at. Playoff wise, but like I want to see them in the playoffs. I want to see them make noise. Where I know even Caitlyn's team, I don't think they're close to even making the playoffs. From my understanding, but like,
I think the Fever are like in the 8th seed or 9th seed, but Chicago's right there too. I think they're like 9th or 10th. So both of them have a shot to get in. They do have a shot, both of them.
Yeah, I think you're not losing either way, but I feel like it was never fair for the jump. Like they had their mind who they were going to give it to. If they can give Caitlyn the MVP, they would have gave it to her. And it's not to discredit Caitlyn Clark because she's a baller, and like I just think that like Angel Reese is like, I was one of those people who wanted to see how Angel Reese's game was going to translate. Not saying I did not believe in Angel Reese. I was like, I want to see how she goes when she goes up. Because Caitlyn, her game translated the way I thought it was going to do. Like, I figured she'd have her troubles. I figured that. I'm interested in the longevity of Caitlyn's game. But Angel, to me, if I had to pick, bro, and maybe I'm gassing it up. I feel like Angel going to have a couple of them rings, man. Angel going to get a couple of them things, man.
And what's beautiful about the WNBA is they going to see each other in the finals because there's no East and West. Like, they eventually, I give it 3 years, Indiana Fever and Chicago Sky is going to be the biggest rivalry, one of the biggest rivalries in sports because of Angel Reese and Caitlyn Clark media has already made them rivalries, and rivals, excuse me. And so, I think that's going to be one of the biggest rivalries. And again, they get to play each other in the finals. Like, they get to truly see what's up. You know, like how everybody, what was it? Like those years when, like the Western Conference was so strong with the Spurs and the Lakers, and it was like they couldn't, play in the finals. They had to duke it out in the playoffs in the West. So but they actually get to battle it out. So it's gonna be interesting. But I would give it to Angel Reese definitely right now. Averaging a double is incredible. But we all know that they're gonna give it to Caitlyn Clark. It should be co-MVPs. I don't think.
Truly,
I don't think. I think that will probably be the best move. Because you can't deny Angel Reese. And I think that's, especially some of the white media platforms, I think that's their biggest gripe. It's like, then they really didn't think, like you said, there was a lot of non-believers for Angel Reese. And I really didn't think that they thought that she was going to have the impact that she has had. But she is, one of the up-and-coming stars. Her and Caitlyn Clark were the only 2 rookies to make the All-Star team that beat the Olympic team. So that goes, and both of them are gonna be in LA in 2028. I will be there too, by the way. Hopefully we meet before then, because that's 4 years away. But I would definitely. I was just talking to the wifey about that. Yeah, we definitely got to go because I've never been to Olympic. I was too young in '96 for Atlanta, so this is definitely got to be out there. But they'll both be out there as well, and so it's just a great rivalry going forward. The WNBA has, because every league has it, that either the team rivalry or individual rivalries, every team, every sport has it. Even from tennis, where you have Venus and Serena going at it, or Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer. Every sport, every league has a rivalry, and now it's great to see that the WNBA has it, and that they'll be battling out. And The best way to battle out is on the court or on the field or in the ring. So
I would like to say too, I think it shows the WNBA of like how they personally, I don't think they know how to market their stars. And the reason I say that is Angel Reese is a star, Caitlin is a star, and each individual their own right. And I think to me, they are just the younger, and I know younger version of Asia and Brianna. You know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of like this game where Asia has been winning, but we don't hear nothing about that. Like unless you pay attention, and it's like they don't even look at her as the face of the sport. They still look at Stewie or Tarasi or someone like that. You don't even give it to Asia, who is like, to me, like, yo, like
she's the best player right now.
The best player right now. Like what is she chasing her third ring right now? Third, fourth? And it's like
she's already all-time great. Yeah,
and it's kind of like she came in, she's dominated, she's been dominating, and it's like, yo, what you want? Like, and I just think it's hard too because like I think all of them bring their own individual game, but I think you said it best, bro. Like, it is what it is. It shows what it is, and I think when I look at Angel, I just see Asia. It's like you're gonna have to grind harder, 20 times harder, because no matter if you don't go get yours, they're gonna try everything to discredit it from you. Because like there's no reason Asia Wilson shouldn't be plastered everywhere.
No, for real.
She's a star. She is a star.
I agree with that. And I'll say this. I think the WNBA, these are the two stars and where they are learning because they're so bigger than the league. They're learning. I'll say the WNBA is at this point. And if people out there, if you know basketball history, you know where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
I think the WNBA this is where the NBA was in 1980 when Magic and Bird came in, is where the WNBA is now. They're at that point where, okay, now we have these two stars, even though, yes, it's a black and white thing, but we have our Magic, our Bird.
Yeah.
And we still, now, yes, we had like Maya Moore, again, we anointed as one of our favorite players of all time. I feel like a Maya Moore, like she's like the Elgin Baylor, right? And Lisa Leslie was like, a Bill Russell or Wilt Chamberlain. But guess what era we haven't hit yet? That Jordan era. And your girl Juju at a USC has the chance. And I think and because the WNBA is on that trajectory, right? Like the NBA, if y'all remember, they called it the druggy league. There wasn't enough white players. Like the 60s and 70s, like people wasn't really fucking with the NBA.
Yeah.
Until Larry, Magic, MJ, Isaiah, like until that era. And I think that's where the WNBA is now, where we have that and people are starting to fuck with it more. But they haven't seen the real star yet. And I think Juju has that chance to eclipse, and do some big things.
I'll throw this curve at you. I'll say it in reverse, because to me, the Lisa Leslie, and I'm gonna say this clearly, the WNBA, the money that you're bringing back, you need to bring back the Houston Comets, because that to me was the Jordan era for them. Then Maya was the LeBron before we knew we had LeBron era. Okay. And now we're in this still kind of LeBron wave era, because a lot of people who, unless you paid attention, you don't know Maya. So you may look at Asia as your LeBron or Brianna as your LeBron. And they all, in their, personally to me, you could pick any one of them. It's just Maya, to me, she was winning and just said, I'm good. Like, like it was, to me, Jordan-esque. Like she was like, she probably would have had 10 of them things. That's how I really think Maya was headed. And I don't disagree with Rock. I don't think people realize how special Juju is going to be. And I think Juju is going to usher in the Juju era. And here's why I'm saying it. There is going to be a gap, because we are seeing, I'm going to say it like this. Aaron Rock just threw it out there. We were just arguing about a documentary about arguing one of the greatest basketball players ever. And then you're going to put whoever else on that list. But the next person you're going to have to put on that list is probably 1 year away, if not retiring after this. LeBron James is gone, and there is nobody in the NBA as of right now who can hold a candle to carry what LeBron James has carried. So the WNBA has, and I know somebody's gonna say like, "Bro, you tripping? You got all this," but I'm listen to what I'm saying. There is nobody who can carry that the way. I love Jokic. He ain't LeBron. And Ja, I'm interested to see that this year to see how they.
Ant has a chance.
Yeah, it has a chance. But you now, Rock is a LeBron fan. You see what I'm saying? The man is in his last Olympics, and he's on his way out. And once he leaves, we lost one of the last. I know Steph and all those people, other fans. What I am getting at, if Michael Jordan is GOAT A, or LeBron is GOAT A, or Michael Jordan is GOAT A, LeBron's GOAT B, you're losing the second greatest or first greatest player. There is nobody I see, because the only person who I thought can feel that was Kevin Durant, and that's not how that didn't pan out.
Yeah, that's not happening.
So where is that coming from? And I don't see Jason Tatum ain't it. Like, I love Tatum. I'm not saying they're stars in their own right, but what I'm saying, the WNBA, not to make this so long with it, has a chance to take over something, because there's going to be a basketball gap in the NBA until another star or face emerges. And when Juju comes, that's when Juju can take it.
Yeah, and to your point, they need to, and they started it. They got Golden State, the Golden State team, the Valkyrie coming. The Toronto team is next. Yes, bring back Houston. I say also they already got Vegas. I say they need to add a team in Florida. We need a Miami or Orlando to reach that Florida market. Definitely. And speaking of markets, right? We have our top 5, 4, 10. Okay. Again, this is a response to Stephen A. Smith's A-list, okay, of best sports cities. Now, he had New York, he had Boston, he had Chicago. Okay. Because of course he was in Chicago. He had Philly, and then he had a questionable one, Houston.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Now we're gonna go through our list here. Okay, and this really is in no particular order. I labeled it that way, but it's really no particular order. New York.
You can leave it.
We can leave that. Of course. Your town. LA. Okay. A lot of great teams there, championship banners.
You take that Clipper one off though.
Right, definitely the Clipper one. Boston. Okay, great.
You can leave it. Yep.
A lot of championship history.
Yep.
Chi-Town. Most of these teams. Most of these teams have won. The Blackhawks, a lot of people sleep on the Black. They won a lot of chips.
They did, but no.
Philly.
Leave it.
Philly. All right. I think all of those teams have won a championship now. Houston.
No.
Okay. The comments should be up there if they still existed.
That's why I didn't agree with the list. He didn't even mention the comments. Like, it's like, no.
Yeah, I feel you. Tampa Bay.
No.
Okay, they still need a basketball team down there too.
Yep.
Same thing with this city, Pittsburgh. Now all they do is get banners. Okay, not in a while, but they got a few.
They got a few.
Dallas, I hate that damn star. There is a huge fan base for sports. And then of course the Bay, right? Of course you got all the teams in the Bay Area. Right? So are you leaving off Chicago with the Bulls and the Sky?
Before Chicago, I'm taking off Houston. Houston is the first one.
That's fair. That's
Houston.
Fair.
If that there's not even, I'm not even looking at Chicago until I address the Houston, because Chicago, I don't have an issue with putting it on the list. It's just when there's a list and there's no LA. Come on, Stephen.
Right. No, I feel you.
They had him so. His list was trash.
Yeah, his list was trash.
Yeah, they had him shook. He was afraid because he was in Chicago.
Right.
It's okay. It's okay.
They shouldn't have been in top 5. He could have definitely put LA and maybe Pittsburgh or the Bay in there instead of if you wanted to, I would personally have kept Chicago and just took out Houston. Because when I think of Chicago, I think of the Bulls, I think of the Sky who's won, I think of the Bears who have won, the White Sox, the Cubs finally broke through, the Blackhawks. A lot of people sleep on the Blackhawks in hockey. They won quite a few over the last decade. So Chicago gets slept on in that regard. But yeah, Houston should have definitely not been on there over LA. No way do you leave LA off.
Here's my argument though, Rock. Here's my argument. You cannot put the Mecca team in the East Coast as the Knicks, or the New York, or just any New York
market. New York
market.
Yeah.
Who is the opposite market of the New York market? It's the LA market.
LA. Yep.
You can't have them and not that. I agree with you. And Chicagoans, I apologize. I didn't mean to attack you first. My direction was Houston.
Fair.
Houston does not belong. You put LA and leave the list alone. If you're going to take LA off, you better have it replaced with somebody of credentials. And I don't even count the Bay. And I know people I got homies in the Bay. I'm like, bro, what? I don't even count the Bay because they ain't. Your boy Steph is gone, y'all. It's over. It's over. Yeah. Like baseball, y'all might not even have a team. Y'all lost their football team. It's over. It's over. But
to not have LA on there, come on, Stephen. But
just disrespect.
Those I can't think of another city that we could have added. Maybe Vegas, but they don't really have a history yet.
Baltimore, you got that Baltimore.
They just got the Orioles and the Ravens. I mean, that's just two teams. That's what I said. Like Tampa, they at least have three, and all of these teams win. So, and the Bay, to be fair, the Bay, yes, they got rid of the Raiders. They still got the Niners, who won 5 chips. I mean, it's been a while, but they won. And the Giants, remember Barry Bonds? Even though they didn't win, they started winning later on, like a decade. They went to 3 out of 4 World Series. So
that's another topic too. Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame.
Hell yeah!
I forget about that. I forget.
Remind me of that one too. Yeah,
because I forgot you saying that. That's because that's the topic that gets me charged up. But I forget about San Francisco because of that. So I didn't think about that because I forget. That's because what they are doing, they're doing great. Because I literally forget about them because when I think San Francisco, I think Barry Bonds, and then I think about the Stephen A would say travesty that Barry Bonds is not in the Hall of Fame. So that's a good point. That's a very good point, Rod. That's a very good point. Another thing too, not to hold everything up. One thing too, and I know this is live. Yo, Rock, you got to come on here and give me an East versus West Baltimore debate because I saw an article and they were
East
talking
versus West Baltimore. Okay.
Yeah. So I saw an article talking about. I read a book. I was reading a book. It was an article. I started reading this book, Black Boy Smile, and the brother was from Baltimore, and he was telling me in the book he was talking about East versus West, and I was like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing, or maybe I'm saying it wrong, but
Like in what regards? In sports and music?
It's just I guess they're just two different environments. It's like Northern Cal versus Southern Cal.
Well, hey, nobody asked us a question, so that can be the question that I answered, right? I guess what is the East-West rivalry, if you will? Yeah,
because he made it seem. I'll send it to you offline, but it was I started a book.
Yeah.
Black Boy Smile. I cannot think of who it's by at this moment, but it's very good. Next time we're here, I'll have it up. But in the book, he was talking about how he went to a camp that I believe was East Baltimore, but all his friends were from West Baltimore. And
East-West Baltimore.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, I thought she was talking about the coach.
No. Just the coach.
I got you.
He's talking about the coach.
No, well, I got love for Baltimore, most definitely. I see the challenges, and it's nothing to do with the people. The people in that city have dealt with so much corruption and turmoil as far as politicians and mayors. From literally the 60s when they took away the port and jobs You know, there's been a lot, you know, with Baltimore. That's been unfortunate, but the people, you know, they feel like, you know, people turn their backs on them. The government, the city turn their backs on them. Of course, you know, like The Wire, what you see in The Wire, you see some of that. Not gonna say you see all of it because that was a different time. Baltimore has come a long way, I'll say that. But with East and West Baltimore, I mean, you know, Baltimore is one of those cities where there's a hood in each one of those zones, right? Like, for example, DC. I lived in DC for a long time as well, in that DC area. You got your Northeast, Southeast, Southwest, and Northwest. Primarily Southeast, and some of Northeast is like the hood, black areas, whatever case, you know. Some people call it the hood, some people call it, you know, the black areas, whatever the case may be. And then like Northwest and Southwest are more your Georgetowns and your Park area, you know, the white people, or downtown or what have you. Baltimore, unless you're in the harbor, you know, or Canton or Fells Point, all surrounding that is black areas, is the hood, is, you know, a lot of areas where it looks like it's in The Wire. And you that's just literally a crosstown rivalry thing. You know, I don't know all of the background and history with the East and West, but a lot of that's just, you know, just being in a city where there's rivalries. You have crosstown rivalries. I'm sure you have them in LA, where, you know, where, you know, there's just rivalries, right? In Jersey, there's rivalry, you know, Irvington and West Orange, South Orange, DC, Northeast, Southeast. You know, it's everywhere, right? You know, in Richmond, Virginia, you know, you got Chesterfield in the city, you know, so it's, you know, it's that type of thing, in my opinion, because both are dealing with the same issues. Again, the like predominantly white areas, gentrified areas, the clean areas, that's primarily downtown near the harbor, Fells Point, Canton, the surrounding areas of the city. Some parts are decent, some parts are not, some parts are intertwined. Where, you know, I live in where I had my house, it was intertwined. You could go 2 blocks up the street and there was, you know, there was the hood. But where we were was a decent spot, and it was a nice spot. But you know, so again, I can't really speak fully to the deeper tone of what the rivalry may be. But I'll just say that everybody in that city is dealing, for the most part, 90% of that city is dealing with the same issues. I don't think any part of the city is dealing with. All of them are dealing with the rats, abandoned buildings, trash on the streets, which again, Mayor Brandon Scott, calling you out on all of these things, right? There's no reason why sanitation is as bad as it is in Baltimore. There's no reason why, you know, there are, you know, in the daytime, you see, you know, infestation of rats. You know, people say New York City's bad. Baltimore is kind of bad too. Really? You know, there's no reason why the gentrification is only happening in one particular area and geared towards only one particular race. Again, the information came out that people can purchase those old abandoned townhomes for $1, but the caveat is you have to have $100,000 available to you to be shown if you're trying to purchase it, so they know that you're capable of making renovations to the home. Most black people don't have $100,000. So, you know, who is that really geared towards? A lot of these things are in place under Mayor Brandon Scott's tutelage. So, you know, certain things like that need to be changed. Again, they're still dealing with heroin and crack and all that. And The Wire and other media platforms will tell you it's black people. It is predominantly white people who are heroin and coke addicts in that city. Okay, you go straight up and down Washington Boulevard, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, so again, the full undertone of East and West, I don't really sure, but again, that whole city is dealing with similar issues, man. So
that's the question. LaRock giving us light. That's the question. That's the question.
Thank you, everybody who tuned in, who will watch later, who tuned in live on YouTube, Twitch, IG. We greatly appreciate it. I know the IG was acting up the last few. I got it to work this time, so we good on IG. Thank you all for tuning in. Devontae, man, your last thoughts, man.
No last thought. Thank y'all for rocking with us, man. We just gonna keep getting stronger and better. You know what I'm saying? I love doing this, and I love the energy we get.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. Hey, people, it's the HL Podcast. Greatly appreciate it. Peace and love, everybody.